I'm Shirakawa from ohe.horseline. Thank you for having me again today.
Thank you for being here. Was it last year that long-haul racehorse transport trucks raised their prices across the board?
That's right. Well, including our peers in Hokkaido, some smaller ones in Shizuoka, and companies in Kyushu, they all raised prices at once.
Oh, so everyone raised them.
To deal with the 2024 problem, it really costs a lot. Or rather than cost, it's that transport becomes impossible. So naturally sales drop. We have to maintain labor costs and staff, and we have to maintain the fleet. So in that situation, if you ask if we can keep going with the same rates as before, well, the company itself just wouldn't be able to survive. So we had no choice but to pass that on to the pricing, and I think that's the decision everyone else made, including the Hokkaido operators. There's no way we could continue at the old prices.
The number of trips has decreased quite a bit, hasn't it?
Well, we haven't fully reduced them yet, but for next year, we're planning to be 100% compliant. I mean, otherwise, even though we raised prices, people would say, "What are you actually doing?" Or, "Nothing's changed." And if we were to get hit with an administrative penalty, they'd say, "What was that price hike for?"
That's true.
They'd say, "You raised them to solve the 2024 problem. So why are you getting penalized? Are you guys scammers?"
That's the worst, like lying. Right. So you're saying there's still room for price increases?
Yes. For us, the operators in Hokkaido are all part of the same association. And there are benefits like getting big discounts on things like ferries and highway tolls by negotiating as one large group. It's also a place for exchanging information, and we meet at least once every 2 months to talk and share info. While discussing where the industry is headed and what we need to do, well, the general atmosphere has been, a few years ago, for the first time in 20 or 30 years, we raised prices. Then, using the 2024 deadline as a catalyst, we implemented a significant price hike last year. Specifically, the Kansai routes were just far too cheap. Compared to the cost and effort, and relative to Kanto prices, they were way too low. Our company started out mainly in Kansai, and Kansai still accounts for a lot of our work. From a profit standpoint, it just didn't make sense to keep doing it.
Was it really like that?
Yes, it was. Well, but of course, our customers' needs come first, and I want to contribute to the industry. So, in our case, and this is my personal philosophy, I've always felt that we don't need excess profit and that we shouldn't overcharge people. Thankfully, we have a high volume of work, but if you ask if we're making a profit, well, it's not that much.
From what I hear, it doesn't sound like you're living a very lavish lifestyle.
Ah, that's right. For me personally, yes. To be honest, several of my subordinates actually earn a higher annual income than I do. Since I joined the company, I've naturally understood that the business wasn't in the best shape. Well, once you become the representative, when dealing with banks, my income
Oh, I see. Right.
affects our ability to get loans, so I did eventually increase it to a certain extent. But until then, to be honest, my salary was lower than the driver's. I wasn't dissatisfied with that though. I knew the internal situation, so I couldn't just raise my own pay. I felt that any extra should go back to the employees instead. That's just how I think.
I see. In that case, President Shirakawa, how do you determine what a fair price for transport freight should be?
Well, you see, this is my true feeling. Personally, I believe the business only exists because of the people on the ground and our employees. So, just as I'm fine with having a lower income, I have absolutely no intention of overcharging our customers.
Right?
However, we now have to comply with many different laws. When I think about wanting to contribute to and stay involved in this industry for a long time, we've simply been in a low profit state for too long. We've had deficits and have been operating on the edge for a while. Then there's what's commonly called retained earnings. You hear politicians saying things like, they have retained earnings, so they should give more back to employees. But retained earnings aren't just cash sitting there. In our case,
Yes.
it's the office building or the horse transporters. That value is simply listed on paper as retained earnings. It's not actual cash at all.
They're assets.
They are assets, but that doesn't mean you can just pay with them. They aren't something you can use for payments.
And you can't exactly sell them off.
Exactly. So, when it comes to discussing what would be considered a fair price, I want to be clear that although we have been operating for quite some time now without making much profit at all, when I look at things from a long-term perspective, I have to say, and I truly mean this, I am very sorry. I hope you can understand where I am coming from. To the drivers. Among our customers, like the farms and trainers who've been in this industry a long time, there's this old rumor that horse transporter drivers, compared to other long-distance drivers, earn an incredibly high salary. That's a story that's often circulated. Racehorse transporters, well, until a few decades ago, earned over 10 million yen a year. Well, even back then, there were quite a few of them, you know. But, well, for transporters in Hokkaido, it wasn't quite that much, really. After all, racehorse transporters receive their freight rates from the organizers. They get paid freight rates, like from the JRA and such.
Right.
Structurally, they receive freight rates from those with financial leeway, you see. For us, we deal with individual horse owners or breeding farms, and from them, well, we couldn't really ask for such high rates. That was part of it too. Well, as I mentioned earlier, prices have risen this much lately. Back then, diesel was 20-something or 30-something yen. Some people might remember those days.
Right, yeah.
Horsemen started at around 10 million, and now they exceed 60 million yen. While costs keep rising, you couldn't change the rates or ask for more, you know. It's the same as other transport companies. Like any industry, there was a long period of price competition due to deflation, right?
Right.
In that situation, I feel really sorry for the employees. Back then, they might have earned more than the average person, for sure. But the veterans currently, well, their salaries are lower than when they were young.
So if you don't raise those salaries, recruiting and retaining drivers in the future is one factor, right?
That's right, absolutely. Even in the discussions with my peers that I mentioned earlier, we said that when considering the future, we will likely have to raise rates further, once again. We're planning to raise rates early next year, in 2026 actually. Thinking long term, well, currently there's a nationwide battle for long-distance drivers. The will pay this much, so come to us competition is intensifying.
Yeah.
Naturally, our drivers might also start to consider going elsewhere, you know. When you think about it, it actually takes many years to truly acquire the skills necessary to handle horses, which requires some very special techniques, you see. These drivers, who are really like skilled craftsmen, whom we have spent years and years training, well, we can't just lose them easily, so to speak. If we lose them and then try to replace them, the problem is how many years it will take to train them, really. If the outflow does not stop, it will eventually lead to a decline in service quality more and more over time. Of course, every trucking company is currently facing a driver shortage, especially with the ongoing population decline, you know. And with poor working conditions, even fewer people want the job. We have to give them something to dream about, you know, because it's a real battle for talent right now. It's only natural that we have to hire new people. After all, the older staff eventually leave as they age and their physical strength declines. So we have to hire young people early on and train them up. Well, it's the same for those who join us. Many come in without a clear idea and then quit right away saying, wait, is it this dangerous or is it this hard?
Right.
Well, in terms of my own mindset, I'm not the type to line my own pockets, so I hadn't really thought about it that way. But, well, I hear it from various people, and my employees tell me too. That money is important after all, and looking at the world, that's just how it is.
Lately, starting salaries for new graduates are incredibly high.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I hear it's common for their pay to end up higher than current mid-level staff, which leads to a lot of dissatisfaction there.
First, I don't want to lose the people who have these skills. I want to keep hiring. And to hire the right people, I want to increase the number of applicants and be selective. And, well, prices are soaring too.
Recruitment costs are rising as well.
Recruitment costs are up. If wages don't rise while prices do, employee satisfaction will drop. And going forward, other major companies and transport firms that think long-term will definitely pass on costs and give back to their employees. So we have to take the initiative there too. Honestly, It'll be too late once our skilled workers have already left.
They won't come back.
That's true, like you said.
Right now, behind the scenes, things like manuals and training are starting to move, but that won't immediately...
They won't be trained instantly.
Because it takes time.
So really, in that sense, and it's not just for drivers, we have to raise wages. We have to give back to our employees. And with horse transporters, they say the price will reach 100 million yen in a few years. And in that environment, regulations are getting stricter and stricter. And to keep up with that, we have to increase our staff. With all these various costs, well, with our company's current approach to making a profit, especially considering things like taking out large loans and the steadily rising prices of just about everything these days, it really makes things more complicated for us. But to make improvements, we have to take risks. We might fail, but we have to keep challenging ourselves with new things. When it comes to making capital investments, you just can't try anything if you don't have any breathing room. And if you can't try, you can't maintain good service, so I hope people can understand that. Well, there's no doubt that costs are rising in many ways, so as a company, we have to build up our strength properly. Thinking about it that way, it's necessary in order to maintain our services.
Yeah.
We have to turn a proper profit. That's how we earn the trust of the banks. Operating like we have, with losses every few terms or negligible profits, just isn't sustainable when you look at the long-term picture. Of course, we need to make an effort to. Improving loading efficiency and cutting waste to work more effectively is a given, but that alone simply isn't enough. Before the 2024 problem started, we had already anticipated a noticeable drop in our transport capacity, estimating that we would likely be unable to move approximately 30% of our usual annual volume. But now that things are actually in motion, it is becoming increasingly clear that it is going to be even worse than that.
You mean the number of horses you can carry will drop even further?
The number of horses we can transport will likely decrease even more. The laws have become very strict. In the past, during the off-season, which most people don't realize, we might drive to Honshu with an empty trailer just to pick up a single horse for the return trip.
Isn't that a total loss?
Yes, it's a complete loss. We were just hemorrhaging money. To minimize those losses, we do things we technically weren't supposed to. For instance, transport companies have a rule about returning to base within 144 hours of departure. But because enforcement used to be lax, we'd use that as an excuse to ignore the rule, staying for 10 days or 2 weeks. We'd do short or medium distance hauls around Miho or nearby areas, staying until we had at least one horse for the return trip. That's how we managed things before, but we really can't do that anymore. Now it's actually becoming the norm to go out empty and then return empty as well. Well, not completely empty. If there's demand for even just one horse, the customer still says, please transport it anyway. And of course, we want to meet that need. When you look at the total, the costs are much higher than expected. To move beyond our current fragile state and ensure long-term stability, we have to build a stronger foundation. And to do that, we're forced to implement another significant price increase.
Fair prices do change with the times, after all.
Exactly. We really do have to determine what is fair, and the only way to do that is by carefully looking at how the times are changing and how our management policies will continue to evolve in the future. I honestly do not know if people will actually believe me when I say this, but the truth is, we are certainly not what you would call a highly profitable company by any means. Anyone can go and verify that for themselves. If you are willing to pay for the data, the facts are right there in front of you, plain as day, for anyone who wants to see them. I want to stay in this industry. It's because I want to keep contributing to everyone that I feel we need to build up our company's strength. To do that, we need to turn a profit. Going forward, I want us to move away from barely breaking even and actually make a proper profit to ensure stable management. When I think about that, it means we'll have to implement another significant price increase. But as I mentioned earlier, I've had regular meetings with others in the industry. I suspect they probably won't agree with me on this.
They won't? The opposite?
Right. I wonder if they really think they can keep going like that.
From a long-term perspective, it's quite difficult, isn't it?
Maybe they aren't thinking about the next generation. To be blunt about it,
Yes.
I don't see it that way. To be honest, I don't have a son, but I've been thinking about succession since I was an executive director in my early 30s, even before I took over. I've always thought about how to find and train a successor. Young business owners in any industry usually think about this, it's common sense. But if you wait until your health fails and you lose your strength, if you only start looking for a successor after you get sick, it's too late.
That is too late.
I've seen that happen all too often.
It's the same for the ranches too.
That's true.
Especially for skilled trades, it takes a lot of time.
Exactly. Just having business know-how isn't enough in this field.
Yes, it's almost like a traditional craft.
Right?
Yes.
You have to understand the technical side to manage the business. Wait, what were we talking about again?
Let us look at how fair pricing is determined in simple terms.
Right. In many ways, because I want to contribute long-term, others in the industry didn't seem to understand my perspective. I figured it would be impossible to get them to agree, and I didn't expect their support. So, even if we have to act alone, I'm certain we'll have to ask for a price increase. Or rather, I am asking for your understanding. Furthermore, considering the current era, global affairs, and the situation in Japan, prices will likely keep rising. Even though it's only been a year since our last increase, we'll have to do it again. To build a proper profit structure, we need to keep profits up, we have to follow the trends. In the food industry and others, 3 or 4 price hikes a year is now normal.
That's true, yes.
On the other hand, since we raised prices just a year ago, some might think, again already, but because we aren't overcharging, we have to raise them repeatedly as needed. If we were taking excessive profits, we could say, we can coast on this for a while, but that's not the case.
Because you're raising prices to the fair market value, it happens more often, right?
That's right. Yes, well, I'm not sure if I explained that very well.
If people could leave a comment, if there's anything else they want to hear about.
Exactly. But this is really, it's not just our company. This multi-layered subcontracting structure has become a real issue. It's not just in transport, but in construction and many other industries. The government is even starting to dismantle it. Industries that were previously suppressed with low prices are seeing that system break down, or rather, things are becoming more properly organized so that people can actually make a decent living.
I see.
So the cost of many things is very likely to go up in the near future as a result.
Right.
It's obvious that costs will continue to rise in that environment. I really hope for everyone's understanding and cooperation on this. And of course, even from our perspective, we see the ranchers' costs rising too. It makes me worry if they can really manage with their current boarding fees.
Yes.
I wonder if they're cutting corners in places they shouldn't. In that sense, the burden on the horse owners, who ultimately pay for everything, will keep increasing. Even so, horse owners have their dreams.
Yeah, sure.
I really want them to be able to continue. They're figures people look up to after all. I want them to stand out and look successful. And I hope to see more new, young, and spirited owners joining in.
Yes.
I think most of them are business people themselves. Since they're successful enough to own horses, I believe they'll understand if they think about the situation.
True. I certainly hope that's the case.
Yes.
I think that covers it for today.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Ohe Unso is currently looking for drivers. Please take a moment to check out our recruitment and corporate sites, which are linked in the description below. If you're interested, we would really love for you to apply.